Good journey, everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? I hope everyone is having a great new year. I know we are, almost, we're halfway through the month. That's kind of crazy. Um, Things are going by quick. So we got a lot of cool things that are already happening within our Star Wars news. So let's kick it off. So this is episode 8, I believe. Yeah, episode 8 of um, the Crucial Crew Member Podcast, Space Oats. So this is my live broadcast. I really apologize. I have had a little bit of difficulty getting some of my podcasts uploaded to Spotify and Google Podcasts lately. So I will be getting up some of the past episodes as soon as possible. I've had some computer issues as of late, but I got a new computer, so that's kind of fixed. But I just haven't had a lot of time to upload some of those. So be patient with me for some of those past episodes, but you can watch them live on the YouTube channel. So that's a great thing. But if you're just looking to listen to them, they're going to be up soon. So really it's only the past 2 episodes that I haven't uploaded. So it was the last one in December, and then my one that was like 2 weeks ago. So but yeah, so what do we got going? Oh my goodness, we got so much to talk about and so little time. So basically we are going to talk a little bit about Darth Vader. Well, the voice of Darth Vader, James Earl Jones. We're going to discuss that a little bit. We're also going to talk about the Mandalorian Season 3 trailer that was dropped last night during the Super Bowl halftime, I believe. I actually did not see it. Actually, at that time, I was well asleep because I had to get up really early this morning. So, but I did watch it today. And so I'm going to go through that trailer and break that down a little bit. I got some notes and everything. So yeah, we'll talk about that as well. We're also going to talk about my crucial character pick of the month. So if you've ever listened to my podcast before, you know that once a month I am picking a character that is not a very well-known character. Maybe they only have a couple scenes in one or maybe a couple of the movies, and they're a background character, maybe not even having any lines in the movies, but they're there, and we just talk about them. Somebody that just stands out to me as like a really cool-looking character, and then I've just like dived into and want to learn a little bit more about, see if there's any merch out there, and if I don't own it, eventually, hopefully, I'll get some merch on that character because it's just some character that I just like stands out to me. I'm like, oh, that's a really cool background character, and I just want to know a little bit more about some of those characters. So we'll talk about my crucial character pick of the month, and that is going to be from Attack of the Clones, episode 2. And then we'll just briefly touch on the last 2 episodes of Willow that came out within the last couple weeks and my thoughts on that. And then we'll see if there's anything else to talk about. Maybe we'll throw in some Star Cruiser stuff. We're going to try to keep all this under an hour. And if I don't get to everything, we'll have to talk about it another time. So, but let's get going. So first things first, we're going to talk about a little bit of today in Star Wars history. So I kind of look at this stuff every day, and basically came and popped up on one of the feeds that I follow that today in Star Wars history, January 17th, 1931, James Earl Jones was born. So James Earl Jones, an iconic part of the Star Wars galactic universe. So without James Earl Jones, honestly, I don't think we'd really have Star Wars as we know it today. I really don't think it would have been a success. So I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on that. If you feel that James Earl Jones, if he did not voice Darth Vader, would it have been a success or not? I honestly feel no, because Darth Vader is a huge part of A New Hope, as far as when that was the first movie. Well, actually, it wasn't the first movie I saw, but I know that if it was the first movie I saw, he's a huge part of that storyline. And if that voice was any different, I don't think it would have. I don't know if there was any actor at that time that could have pulled that off. I know it certainly wasn't going to be David Prowse's voice, because if you ever look and listen to the outtakes that Dave Prowse does, where you hear his voice coming through out of that suit, it just does not sound right. And who knows, maybe they could have modified that a little bit with sound editing. We know Ben Burt was an amazing sound editor, and maybe it would have worked, but it's 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 just, you can't even fathom listening or watching the movies with Darth Vader, imagining anybody else that could have been the voice of Darth Vader, and it actually sticking and working. So I honestly don't think it would have ever worked. But just a little bit of background on James Earl Jones as far as his, I mean, he voiced Star Wars Darth Vader in all the Star Wars films. So we had him in episode 4, 5, 6. We had him in episode 3, come back at the end. We also had him voice Darth Vader in Rogue One, at the end of Rogue One. We also had him voice Darth Vader in Rise of Skywalker as well. And I almost forgot about this, honestly, because I was looking back and I was like, Rise of Skywalker, where was he the voice in Rise of Skywalker? But it was one of those visions that that Kylo was having when he was looking at the mask. And it was basically not really Anakin Skywalker or Darth Vader, but it was Emperor Palpatine basically voicing Darth Vader and basically projecting that voice in his mind to make Kylo think that it was Darth Vader talking to him, because Kylo was so, just drawn into following on that legacy of his grandfather. So Palpatine knew that. So that was his seducing him into the dark side part of it. So that was that one little moment where James Earl Jones came back and voiced Darth Vader. And that actually was the last time that James Earl Jones actually voiced Darth Vader. He is credited in Obi-Wan Kenobi, but it's not actually him, because that is the first time that the AI development was being used. Now, James Earl Jones was helping to develop that, but he had already passed off the torch that was going to be the case, because he is retired from voicing Darth Vader. And going forward, it's going to be AI using his voice, but maybe using it in different ways. So we may have Darth Vader again in the future as far as voiceovers, and it will be James Earl Jones' voice, but it will not be him actually speaking the lines. It'll be them using his voice and creating it through this AI to develop new lines for Darth Vader. So amazing technology. It has been used in some of the other films that we have seen with younger versions of Luke Skywalker and so forth. So we will never actually hear James Earl Jones' voice actually again voicing Darth Vader. He is retired from that, but he's done some amazing other things. If you're a Disney fan, James Earl Jones, we know him as Mufasa as well as The Lion King, which is amazing. He came back and did that with the live action version, which is awesome. And then who can't forget some of the lines in Field of Dreams is one that I recall. He was actually in that movie as well, which was really great. One of my favorite movies of all time, growing up being a baseball fan. So who didn't like that movie if you're a baseball fan? Also, I didn't realize, I guess, why wouldn't I realize it sounds like him? He is the voice of Darth Vader in Star Tours as well, which is pretty awesome. And I'm pretty sure he did the voiceover in some of the in the Rebels episode, the beginning, the Spark of Rebellion, when they added that scene in the beginning with him with the Inquisitor. I'm pretty sure that was James Earl Jones's voice as well. So he's also in Star Tours, as I said. I didn't realize that he is a voice in Indiana Jones and Temple of the Forbidden Eye in the Disneyland attraction. So I just recently saw that not too long ago, went to Disneyland and rode that ride for the first time. I honestly don't even remember that character. I'm going to have to look it up and see. I'm sure somebody has a video of it. They've recorded it before, but I don't even remember hearing that voice and being like, oh, James Earl Jones's voice. I honestly have no idea. So that's an interesting little fact that maybe you're not aware of. But James Earl Jones, um, born this day, 1931. So, without James Earl Jones, again, where would Darth Vader be? Would he be the iconic character that we know today? Um, Curious as to know what you think about that. I mean, if you just think of some of the lines that James Earl Jones did as Darth Vader, and you try to picture somebody else's voice behind those, it just it I just don't see it happening. I don't see it. It's just an iconic voice that matches that character. And again, I don't know of any other character at the or any other actor at the time that could have fit that voice, that voice of Darth Vader to make it that great. So, yeah, so leave in the comments if you think that Star Wars would have been a success. Do you think Star Wars would have been a success if James Earl Jones was not the voice of Darth Vader? I'm saying no. I'm saying no on that. But you can have a different opinion on that. That is totally fine. And you give me an argument on that. You give me an argument. You tell me who another voice is. I will look them up. I will see if I can imagine that as part of behind that mask. Yeah, so James Earl Jones, amazing. He's 92 years of age, so you know what? He let him retire. Let him retire. He has given the blessing to use his voice forever, so it's not like we'll not hear his voice ever again. We will continue to hear his voice as Darth Vader, I'm sure, as that character will live on in the expanded universe. So, um, yeah, we'll continue to hear his voice, and probably even more so now. Things that maybe he wouldn't have done. Um, maybe showing up in series like The Bad Batch, or series going further, maybe Andor season 2, or what have you. Maybe flashbacks with Ahsoka that's going to be coming out at the end of the year. That's going to be amazing if that's the case. I am really looking forward to hopefully seeing some flashback scenes between Ahsoka and then maybe just, visions of Vader or whatever that is. Because that in Rebels, Ahsoka was kind of figuring out maybe there'll be a flashback scene of the live action version of their battle. That would be awesome. So who knows what we might see with Vader in the future. So Vader, one of the greatest villains of all time. I mean, you can't argue that. And James Earl Jones makes that character. I mean, yes, David Prowse did an amazing job with actually performing that character as far as being there. But honestly, the voice is what makes Vader. The voice is what makes Vader, in my opinion. Anyway, so moving on to our next topic, The Mandalorian Season 3 trailer that dropped last night. So this is the third trailer, I believe, if I'm counting correctly. The third trailer, there was some things that were kind of repeated in this trailer, but there was a lot of new things. And honestly, I didn't go back and watch the other two trailers, but to me, it seemed like a lot of new content. So we had a good amount of footage that we have not seen. At least that's why I'm saying about half of it is scenes that we haven't seen, or maybe just different perspective of scenes, or just a little bit different angles of scenes. Maybe a little bit clips that were a little bit forward, or previews of around the. You could tell that some of them were very close to some of the other scenes in the trailers before, but maybe they were just a little off or a little new or put in a different order to kind of throw you off, maybe as far as what sequence this is going to be in. But the one thing that, I mean, from the very beginning, all the Mandos, I mean, oh my goodness, so many different Mandalorians in the beginning of that shot on that kind of desert rocky planet. Not sure what planet this is that they were on. I don't think that this has been established yet. I don't think a lot of things have been established with this, but it looks like the Mandalorian is Din Djarin is basically leading these other Mandalorians. It looks like he's kind of taking his place as a leader. The one thing that you don't see anywhere in these trailers is him with the darksaber, which is kind of interesting. But I'm guessing he still has the darksaber. So maybe that's the way that he's able to rally these Mandalorians to fight with him, or they're following him because they know he has the darksaber. Um, so that's I mean, but some of those Mandalorians are really cool. The helmet styles are slightly different on some of them. The coloring, really cool. I mean, the white, the orange. I was really digging some of those. So, can you imagine like all the just out of the trailer alone, what Celebration London's going to be like with some of these new Mandalorian costumes, and people that are just that do amazing job with creating the armor. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some amazing things in London. So with this, but so, and then it kind of cut to a scene going through hyperspace with the Naboo N1 starfighter. So which is Mando's new transport. So it's a single, really modified, but it's a single passenger fighter with the modified droid passenger cockpit that Grogu was in, that we saw from the previous times that he's been using this. So Grogu's kind of in that little bubble droid passenger area as they're going through the hyperspace. And it sounds like the Mandalorian is kind of almost like teaching him the ways of the Mandalorian. So we know that Grogu has basically decided not to be trained as the way of the Jedi. He went to Luke's Jedi Academy. Luke gave him that choice, and from the outcome of that, we know that he chose to be with the Mandalorian. So that was an interesting. We didn't really know how that was going to happen, and if that was going to carry along in the story. And now we know that Grogu is back with the Mandalorian, and so I guess the Mandalorian is going to teach Grogu the ways of the Mandalorian. A Grogu species character as a Mandalorian, so that's going to be interesting. Don't know how that's going to play out with, what are the other Mandalorians going to think about that? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what's going on there. Then we got a really cool look at Navarro. Navarro looking great. So obviously, Grief Karga, his basically taking over Navarro has done very well for Navarro. So it looks amazing. So, so we go back to that planet. We get to go see Grief Karga again, which is really awesome. It looks really good. It's prospering very well. It looks very lush and green, and looks like it's had a lot of redoing on the buildings since the battles of the past. It's really awesome. So, and there's some cool little things in the background as they're walking through the streets. You see some familiar looking droids here and there, which is really cool. So so that was really neat. The monkey lizard in the tree, which I know we saw in the past trailers, a bunch of them, but really got a cool shot of one of the quacky monkey lizards. I love the quacky monkey lizards. I got 2 of them from Bat2 from Galaxy's Edge. Sitting on my windowsill right now. So I got the blue and yellow one and the Salacious Crumb looking one. So I love the quacky monkey lizards. So to see one of them really close up in the trees, and yeah, it just that's a great. I can't wait to see like just their any screen time they have is going to be awesome. So it's nice to see them alive and kicking rather than um, some of the other times that we've seen him not faring so well. But we see Grogu and his little pod again. So back in his pod, transporting. I guess he's not always walking around with the Mandalorian, so he's using that as a mode of transport, I guess. Whenever they're off planet or on planet somewhere, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, a lot of things in the background as they're walking through. We see the droid, the R5 droid that is now, or the R4 droid. Sorry, the R4 droid that is given to Mandalorian. We see that, and basically, you can kind of see him in the background. So he's with the Mandalorian in Navarro. So you can kind of maybe gather when this takes place, as far as like where he's going first, second, and third. So we don't know like when through the series he's going to go to Navarro, but it's probably going to be maybe. I don't think it's going to be in the first episode. Maybe it could be the second, but it could be a little bit later on. But it's definitely not going to be in the first, I don't think, because it looks like he's going to have to. We're going to have to see the scenes of where he goes to Tatooine, he gets the R4 unit, and so forth. So however long that takes, Navarro is going to be after Tatooine, most likely. At least that's my take on that. But yeah, lots of other droids in the background. A lot of droids in this trailer, honestly. So really interesting. Like we get the white protocol droids. We get some EV droids from like Jabba's palace. You see those in the background. You get battle droids later on. You see in the background just so many droids all over the place in this trailer. So this is a big. It's funny because for the Mandalorian who didn't really like droids, there's droids everywhere now. So and now he's got a droid. So droids all over the place in the Mandalorian season 3. It looks like. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Again, we saw Grief Karga come out on Navarro. He's looking really good. You can tell he's in charge. He's got some another protocol droid with him as well. Speaking of protocol droids, and then also he's got a bunch of Twi'leks in the background, which is really cool to see like who they are in his ensemble of people. Maybe it's people in the government. They're on Navarro. Helping him to keep everything under control there, his administrative team or whoever that might be. We're looking forward to that. And then there's also this little dude like next to him. You could barely out of shot because like that fountain there is kind of like blocking him, but it looks like it's an Anzellan, and we see some Anzellans later. So maybe that's the case. We see the Anzellans. Love the Anzellans. Babu Frick in Rise of the Skywalker was probably one of my favorite moments of Rise of the Skywalker. And of course, now on the Halcyon, I mean, how could I not like the Anzellans? Because our founder of CSL, the Halcyon, is Shug Jabor, and he was a Anzellan. So I'm all in favor of more Anzellans coming about. So maybe one day we'll see Shug Jabor in a earlier film. I mean, it would have to be something like way before. I'm guessing like before the Phantom Menace type of deal. If they ever did anything older, live action, that would be where we would see maybe Shug Jabor and the Halcyon and so forth in that time. But that would be pretty cool if we ever got to see Shug Jabor on the screen. So I would be happy about that. But yeah, so that we see Grief Karga. Let's see what else. Obviously, Grief and Mandalorian are happy to see each other. There's a good handshake there going on. It's nice to have them back and reunited. The other really cool thing that was kind of spotted in the kind of the square there of Navarro, wherever that like main square is there's a statue of IG-11, which is really cool. Taking you back to the first season, IG-11 basically sacrificing his life for everyone. Really cool character. Taika Waititi voiced IG-11, and one of my favorite parts of season 1 was IG-11. Anytime IG-11 showed up, I was like, yes, we get more IG-11. So kind of a take back, a throwback to season one, that statue, um, as a reminder, of the sacrifice that IG-11 made. So really cool little shot there of IG-11 there in the square of Navarro. And then we actually get to see a little bit of Mandalore. So in really bad shape. Mandalore, we get bits and pieces of the history of Mandalore. The last time we saw Mandalore really in a full episode was in the season 7 of the Clone Wars, where basically we see that battle over Mandalore between the Grand Army of the Republic against the Death Watch with Darth Maul, Ahsoka, all sorts of stuff going on. That was that culminative climatic battle in season 7. Eventually, we know that there was retaliation with the Empire that basically ended up having that purge on Mandalore and pretty much wiping them out. And we saw glimpses of that in, I believe it was, I can't remember if it was, because it's so funny because, when the Book of Boba Fett came out, you had those episodes that were Mandalorian episodes within the Book of Boba Fett. So I can't remember if it was season 2 of Mandalorian or if it was the Book of Boba Fett that we saw those flashbacks of Mandalore with the Purge. Just glimpses of it. So we never really saw like the battle that took place. Maybe we'll see a little bit more of that, but we see a little bit of the outcome of what Mandalore is looking like now. I'm guessing that's a current shot of Mandalore that we're seeing in the trailer when the Mandalorian goes there. But basically, it's a destroyed cityscape, probably the planet's capital city. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, so I mean, we did go back to Mandalorian Rebels. That is, I'm just like thinking about that. We went back to the Mandalorian Rebels. Honestly, I got to go back and watch some of the last parts of Rebels now because I'm thinking, did they show some of the siege of the purge of Mandalore there? I don't think so. I think Mandalore was looking good at the end of Rebels because Sabine was staying to protect Mandalore. So who knows? Maybe this is going to be an introduction for Sabine in Mandalorian. Who knows with that? That would be pretty cool. But we do see the Bo-Katan's type of ship, the Mandalorian, their ship. I can't remember what class of fighter that is, but we see some of those. Possibly that ship that's shown in the trailer could be Bo-Katan's. We don't see any of Bo-Katan in the trailer, by the way. But basically, we know we're going back to Mandalore, so that's a definite. We see a little bit of the R4 unit again. Coming out of Mando's ship. So in this case, when this happens, when the R4 unit was with Mando, Grogu is up in the cockpit with Mandalorian. So that's how they're getting very tight ship there. Everybody kind of squeezing together in there. We see Peli, I think her name is, on Tatooine. Basically, we see her like waving goodbye with their little pit droid, and he's like, doing the air traffic control thing for Mandalorian as he's taking off. She kind of yells out, "May the Force be with you," which obviously she's maybe talking to Grogu. She knows Grogu has the Force probably at this point, and who knows why Mando went to to Tatooine? This is going to be a great question because, what kind of things are not shown in the trailer that they don't want us to know about? Is he going to go visit the Marshal? Are we going to see the Marshal? Are we going to see Timothy Oliphant and Cab Vance again? Are we going to see Boba Fett again? Are we going to see Fennec Shand again? What characters? Why is he going to Tatooine? He leaves Tatooine with an R4 unit, but is there some reason that he went to Mandalore? I mean, to Tatooine? Is it to recruit Boba Fett? Does he somehow reach out to Cab Vance for some reason as well? That's going to be an interesting part of the story if that's the case. So, and why would he get Cab Vance involved anyway? So, there's some fireworks. We all love fireworks. I wish there were fireworks in space. I love watching fireworks in space on the Halcyon. So, but we do see some fireworks. We have no idea what the fireworks are for. I am just kind of confused at this. I don't know where this is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be, part of like the last season. They kind of threw this in the middle. Not really sure where this is going to take place within the series, but there's going to be fireworks at some point. So we all love fireworks. If you're a Disney fan, you got to love fireworks. And then Coruscant. I mean, we haven't even really gone to Coruscant this closely since the prequels. And now with the Andor series and so forth. But, Coruscant was not in the original films. They threw it into the special edition for the Return of the Jedi celebration at the end. But nothing's really known about Coruscant after the fall of the Empire. So we're actually going to get to see Coruscant post fall of the Empire, and maybe get to understand what's going on. What is the political environment on Coruscant after Return of the Jedi? We might get a little bit of information on that. We get to see what's his name? The Dr. Pershing. Dr. Pershing is alive and well. So he's on Coruscant for some reason. So that's going to be an interesting thing to try to figure out why he is there. What is the reason that he is on Coruscant? Is there some sort of connection to Coruscant with the Empire still? Or maybe who knows? Maybe he knows where Sidious's lair was. Like, where is this going to go? I am not sure at all. I'm really curious about this as far as why he's on Coruscant, what the reason is for that. We see a Star Destroyer, which is pretty cool to see a Star Destroyer post Return of the Jedi, and pre-First Order. So what is this going to be? Is that I think it was shown right after Coruscant. I don't know if it's going to be actually on Coruscant. I think that was put there to throw us off. So I don't think it's actually going to be on Coruscant. I think it's going to be a different planet that Star Destroyer is on. So, and what type of Star Destroyer is it? Is it remnants of the Empire, or is it a Star Destroyer that's going to be being constructed for the First Order, like early First Order? Or could it be like some other like post-Empire, maybe Thrawn uprising going on? Because Thrawn's going to come into this Mandoverse at some point. So is this going to be some sort of resurgence of the Empire by Thrawn to somehow come into play as like a last savior of the Empire? Kind of like hinting at like what happened in the Legend series, the old Timothy Zahn novels of Thrawn basically rising up with the Empire. Is that going to happen at some point? Is there going to be like a resurgence from the unknown regions somewhere of Thrawn? And are these Star Destroyers maybe getting repaired from Thrawn to try to make a attack from the unknown regions, and are they going to do some kind of storyline with that? And that's what Thrawn is maybe going to be entering in from that. So who knows what that's going to be? Maybe that could be something that comes into play as a side story, which then kind of takes us into Ahsoka tying in to the Mandoverse, and maybe bringing her back at some point as well, or bringing her into play as a reason for her coming back and joining sides with the Mandalorian. So that, yeah, who knows? We also saw another returning character, Mando's friend, as far as the X-wing pilot that we met in previous episodes. That being Carson Teva, the Rebel X-wing pilot. He looks a lot different because he's out of his X-wing flight suit. Kind of has a really cool like bomber jacket with a Rebel insignia on it. So gonna be interesting to see what his role is, what he knows, because he's kind of warning the Mandalorian about something dangerous happening out there in the galaxy. And by the time it becomes big enough for him to act, it's going to be too late. So what is he talking about? Does he know something about Thrawn? Is that what he's? I'm guessing that that's the case. I don't think he's talking about the First Order. I think he's talking about Thrawn, because again, we're exploring that as part of the Mandoverse, and maybe he was on assignment in the unknown regions, and maybe somehow he's caught onto this as well. And who is he talking to? That's the other thing. He might not even be talking to Mando. My guess is he is, because I can't really even fathom anybody else that he would be talking to that would fit in with the Mandalorian season 3. So we know he's back. We see shots of Mando exploring like a cave, and then he basically uncovers what are probably some of the remnants of the Purge, with some of the Mandalorians that were killed, executed, basically by the Empire, or results of that bombardment of the Empire on Mandalore, and him looking at some of these helmets of other Mandalorians. So that was a really kind of dark moment of the trailer. Another really amazing shot, and most likely this is his flashback. I can't even imagine. Obviously, I don't think this is going to have anything to do with anything current. I don't think there's any way to tell this story of this being current at all. But we see a shot of at least 4 Jedi, and it looks like they are probably in the Jedi Temple. So my guess is this is going to be more backstory of Grogu and how he escaped the Jedi Temple. So we know that he was there during the Order 66, and Anakin, or Darth Vader at the time, coming in and killing all the Jedi with the 501st. But how did Grogu survive? So was there other Jedi that got him off of Coruscant, and that got him somewhere to safety, and then maybe they left him and perished later? How did this happen? My guess is we're actually going to find out how Grogu got out of Coruscant, which would be a really cool side story, backstory, to get to learn. Flashbacks, so forth. So then we see a cool fighting sequence over a planet with a lot of water and some greenery. Again, not really sure what planet this is. It could be a number of planets. We have tons of lush green planets with water. So this could be anywhere. It could be a new planet. Could be somewhere that we're revisiting. But we see TIE interceptors, which is really cool. At least that's what they look like to me. TIE interceptors, and they're attacking someone. I couldn't really tell who they're attacking in this scene. But we see a lot of back and forth between Mando and his starfighter. Then we see the Mandalorian class starfighter that Bo-Katan had in the previous. So, who is flying what shuttle? I think the way that they edited the trailer, it's meant to throw everybody off. Are they all in this battle together? Not really sure what is going on here, but it looks like there's going to be a cool battle with some TIE interceptors, so that's pretty cool. Again, going back to all the droids, we see a droid bar. I've already seen some funny posts from some of my followers or friends that I follow, and on Instagram and so forth. Kind of, you know, the droid bar basically, which is pretty funny. So this is where you see a lot of droids in just more droids. I mean, more droids. This is where you see some of the battle droids in there, in the background, and a lot of different droids from all over the place. So it's really cool to see a bunch of droids, especially in a series that we basically started, Mandalorian, not liking droids, and now there's droids everywhere. This is pretty funny, but we always need more droids, right? Um, and then we get closer to the end of this trailer where we see a lot of Mandalorians again. Mandalorians basically dropping out of a ship, which is really cool with their jetpacks and everything. Pretty awesome. Looks like it could be the Night Owls, so that would be Bo-Katan and some other members dropping out. Looks like they could be dropping down over Navarro, maybe. So because it does look like the next shot is Navarro. So, but these could be two separate scenes. It could be a different planet they're dropping down on, and then maybe there's a different battle on Navarro later or before. Don't really know, but we do know Navarro gets. There's a battle on Navarro. You can tell that's kind of like the town square of Navarro where we saw Grief Karga earlier in the trailer. You see the IG 11 statue there that's been destroyed in that battle. But we got some cool shots of some Mandalorians, a lot of different ones with a lot of different weapons. We see the tow cable action going with somebody. So pretty cool. And then again, we go and see that little scene with the two Anzellans, which is pretty cool. I don't think that these are Anzellans that we've seen in any of the episodes. I think they're just using Anzellans again as a cool character to put in the series because Anzellans are awesome. I love Anzellans and I can't get enough of them. And then the final scene, kind of the scene of the trailer, is on I don't know what planet this is either, but it's kind of like rocky and bare, or at least it's in the mountain part of whatever planet they're on. But there's a really weird creature. I can't really pinpoint if this is a creature that we've seen before in the Star Wars Galactic Universe, but it kind of like jumps down and Grogu's in the cave, and he basically comes out and force pushes this creature away. So this is like the only time that we actually see Grogu using the Force. So obviously he's still, we know that he has the ability. So how much he's kind of self-training or whatever that might be, he's still using the Force. So pretty cool little final part of that episode. So really amazing trailer. I really enjoyed it. I'm so excited. March 1st is when the first episode drops. As we know, the Bad Batch will still be going on during that time. So we're going to be having Bad Batch episodes, Mandalorian episodes every week. It's going to be a lot of content. I'm guessing that the Mandalorian episodes are probably going to range in the 40-minute mark average, maybe a little bit shorter, maybe a little bit longer. I don't know if there's been any release on the episode timelines as far as how long each episode is yet, but yeah, we got a lot of Bad Batch that's going to be left through the month of March. as well as the Mandalorian season as well. So a lot of content to keep up with each and every week. So yeah, so that's the Mandalorian. All right, so that takes us to my third thing for this evening. And man, that took a lot of time going through that Mandalorian trailer. So, got about 15 minutes left. So, let's talk about the crucial character of the month. My pick for crucial character of the month. As you know, every month I pick a character within the Star Wars universe that's not a big character. And I've gone through a bunch of them: New Hope, the Dianoga, um, Empire Strikes Back, Terran Far, Return of the Jedi, um, Potisnikin. I don't know if I'm pronouncing some of those names right. Episode 1, Rats Tyrell, the Pod Racer. Episode 2 is going to be this month. So, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. My pick for crucial character of the month for Attack of the Clones is he a good guy or is he a bad guy? That's the great question. Um, so he's a politician, and the reason why I kind of went with this character, and let's just throw it out there of who it is. Um, it is Paso Argenti. Paso Argenti is my crucial character of the month. Now, I was kind of the reason why. So, Attack of the Clones. I was looking at the scene of the Separatists, and it really got me on this because the Bad Batch. So the Bad Batch was talking a lot about Dooku, the Separatists, at least the last episode. And we always have this feeling, we know that both sides were. I mean, the Separatist was just a pawn. It was just set up for Palpatine as a distraction so that he could take over. But Dooku kind of at first believed that, the Republic for what it was not going in the right direction. And he knew that there was wrong with the Jedi Order, and he left. He ended up going to the dark side, all that. But the Separatist movement, they kind of he swayed them with basically correct information that that the Republic was broken. So the Separatists, they knew this. They knew this. That's why they wanted to separate themselves. And Paso Argenti was one of them. So Paso Argenti is that really weird looking alien with the robe stuff, like the gold, orange. I just think is a really cool character the way he looks, by the way. I would like to see more of their character, their homeworld. We haven't seen any of that really expanded on as far as their characters. They've been in a couple of canon stories, books, and so forth, but really not much has been seen about their homeworld and their characters. But the homeworld is Corova, so we don't really know much about Corova. But Paso Argenti was in all three prequels. He was in the Senate because he was a senator of Corova in Episode 1. So he was in there. He was there for the vote of no confidence of Chancellor Valorum, and was present for that. I believe you can actually see him in the background, basically voting yes, or voting, yelling out, chanting to vote now on that vote of no confidence. So he was in Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. He was in Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones was when he had a little bit of a bigger role. Basically, we get to see him on Geonosis with Dooku when they're kind of rallying to create this unified confederacy of independent systems. So Paso Argenti was the head of the corporate alliance at that time, and then basically we don't see him anymore as basically the war comes to Geonosis with the Jedi, the Grand Army, and the Public, and then we see him again in Revenge of the Sith, basically on Utapau, um, then basically getting moved to Mustafar, which is where he dies at the hands of Darth Vader, um, after Anakin falls, and he goes there and he is killed, um, basically once Palpatine orders Order 66 and tells Vader to wipe everyone out that has to do with the Separatist. So kind of feel bad for him because he really did believe, you know, in wanting a different type of government, something that was better for his people. So he was probably thinking for his home world and betterment for his home world, and didn't agree with the way the Galactic Republic was going, um, and was probably doing what he thought was the best interest of his people. Maybe he had some selfish, reasonings on that. Some of all these politicians were pretty corrupt, kind of a play on politicians today, very corrupt. But, he probably was at least a little bit looking out for the betterment of his people, um, in some way or another. So he did represent Corva, in the final days of the Galactic Republic. Once Palpatine basically declared himself as, taking control and having those executive powers. He pledged his support for the Confederacy of Independent Systems, served under that Separatist Council, all the way till his death. So, we know a little bit more about him as far as, um, he apparently was in one of the Tarkin books. And I read these books. I don't remember this, but again, I wasn't really focused on learning a lot about Paolo Argenti. So I might go back and read the Tarkin books. Tarkin books are amazing, by the way. But apparently, he was responsible for introducing Dooku to Tarkin, while on Coruscant. I don't know where that information comes from. I think it may have been in the one of the Tarkin books. So I'm gonna have to go back and research that a little bit. But yeah, so I think he's mentioned in the Tarkin books. Um, but he ended up kind of, um, being the head of the corporate alliance, as I said, and really giving full support to Dooku and rallying a lot of other senators to the Confederacy of Independent Systems. So he was a big part of that. You almost want to maybe think that he was kind of like under Dooku as far as like a top affiliate of the Confederacy of the Independent Systems. So, um, he was a member of the Separatist Council. So he basically, he was up there. He was a great aide for Dooku. So, and there was another aide of his from Corva that was with him, actually on Mustafar when they were killed. So their planet was pretty bent on this independent of the Republic at the time and leaving the Republic, and it probably was for the betterment of their people. So, kind of feel bad for him. So that's why I kind of picked him. He's a really cool looking character, different, has that, senatorial look with the way he dresses. Um, and, it's interesting that a lot of the characters that went to the Confederacy side were like alien creatures, and we know that the Galactic Republic kind of was more of a human-based society. Like they kind of turned on a lot of alien beings throughout the galaxy, either enslaving them or eradicating them. And maybe the Confederacy of Independent Systems kind of saw these prejudices and biases like forming within the government, and that's why a lot of them left. Um, so it'll be interesting to get into that kind of like politics part of the Galactic Republic. Maybe we'll see some of that more in like series like Andor, maybe season two, as the Galactic Empire starts to grow, and maybe we'll see how some of those prejudices start to form. Maybe in some of the scenes with Mon Mothma and Coruscant, and like the things that she's fighting for with these worlds that are being oppressed by the Galactic Empire because of who they are as people. And we'll maybe learn a little bit more about that. Um, but that's probably why a lot of these worlds left the Republic, was because of maybe what they were seeing as far as their worlds not being treated as fairly under the rule of Palpatine. Um, Once he declared himself kind of, you know, it was even really before he declared himself emperor, when he had those emergency powers. Maybe he wasn't providing support as he was to certain worlds that had these alien beings, and he just wasn't showing that support. And these people, they got that, they saw that they were just being oppressed and forgotten, and maybe that's why they left, because they kind of foresaw what was going to happen to their people. So you kind of feel for those types of characters that they just got caught up in all the middle of it. They were just looking out probably for their best intentions of what they thought was the best for them and their people and their home world. And they got caught up in all that, and unfortunately he met his demise on Mustafar, at the hands of Vader and the lightsaber. So as far as merchandise for Paschal Argenti, there was a action figure that was actually out there for him. That's all I could actually find anywhere. I have not bought it. Like I said, I'm gonna try to get all these like crucial characters that I've had before, because I like I'm starting to like all these like background characters. So I want to try to find these. He's got a action figure. It was released for the Revenge of the Sith, actually, not for Attack of the Clones. So his figure wasn't released until the Revenge of the Sith wave of figures. And it was one of those like not the normal action figure card backs that like we see behind me here. It was a little bit different. It was one of those ones that was rounded. I had kind of stopped collecting at that point, so I only have like two or three characters, action figures where it has that style. But he does have an action figure. I don't know when it was released. I can't remember. I didn't find a date of its release. I don't remember when that series came out. I'm guessing around Revenge of the Sith time. But it was Revenge of the Sith action figure, Paschal Argenti. It basically was uh, notated him as a separatist leader in that. It does not look like he had any like extra little pieces with him, or like staff or weapons or anything like that. It was just looked like it was just him in his little robe, and he's kind of just that's all he is. So that'll be an interesting character to maybe find, get that action figure, and have that figure. So but yes, that is my crucial character of the month, Paschal Argenti. Again, he is in all three prequel movies. So go ahead and check him out. Take a closer look at him, and let me know if you find any interesting, cool facts about him and any other canon reading material, comics, or whatever that might be, so I can kind of dive into a little bit more of his character. Lastly, I just wanted to kind of touch on the fact of the two last episodes of Willow that came out. We had the episode Beyond the Shattered Sea, which was a pretty cool episode. Kind of them on the Shattered Sea almost the entire time of that episode, trying to figure out how to cross the Shattered Sea, which was a pretty interesting episode. A lot of the characters, you got to uh, get a better understanding of them and who they are and their struggles. throughout their life, and where they might be going. And then the final episode, the what was the final episode? Children of the Worm was the final episode. I was happy at the way the series ended up. I'm worried at the people not really liking Willow. I enjoyed it as a series overall. I was happy with the way it ended up, the way the series wrapped. We did have the death of one of the major characters. That being Graydon. But then again, in the kind of the end credit scene, if hopefully I have not heard that it's been renewed at all, but if it is renewed, it looks like Graydon is now going to be a bad guy. But I don't think he's going to end up being bad all the way until the end. I honestly think that Elora Danan and Graydon will kind of combine and be the saviors of this whole series. And in the end, they're probably going to rule as king and queen, most likely. I just have this feeling that that's the case. There's a lot of romantic elements going on in Willow that we see, that being with Kit and Jade, who finally kind of reconcile in the end of the season. And then Willow looks like he's basically figured out, his place, and kind of taken to the role of him actually, being who he is, and that he is great for who he is and what he's accomplished. So, and then Borman is Borman. Still kind of, that almost like comedic effect with him. I don't really know how to take his character. I was liking him, and then I wasn't liking him, and I really don't know how I like him at the end of the series. But Kit was the one that was able to take the armor. She was the one that was worthy of it. Kind of knew that was going to happen, especially since Mad Mardigan was the one that found it, and I just had this feeling that it was going to kind of get passed off to the daughter. So, and we wonder if Val Kilmer is going to possibly show up in season 2, if there is a season 2. But I guess we'll find out. Maybe at Star Wars Celebration in London, we'll hear a little bit more about that, and maybe we'll find out about if there's going to be a season 2 of Willow. I kind of hope so. I enjoyed it again overall. I thought it was entertaining. I was waiting for the next episode every week. I kind of dug how they did the whole soundtrack with the music, kind of having modern music into that type of style of story. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I would like to see more Willow. I'm a big fan of Willow. So, but that's about it. So that's pretty much all I have time to talk about. I did go to Batu last week. I spent some time at Oga's Cantina. That was fun. Maybe one day I can get some people to go with me, and we can have a good time, good meet up at Oga's. I'm going to Epcot this Friday. We have the Festival of the Arts. So this is kind of just like beyond Star Wars right now. Yeah, so looking forward to getting there and doing some tastes around the world with some of the Festival of the Art offerings, and having some fun there. So yeah, Friday night after work, I'm going to head to Epcot and have some fun with that. I will be back in a couple of weeks doing another episode of Space Oats, this podcast live. But on Thursday night, we're going to do another watch party, obviously watch party, rewatch party of The Bad Batch, season 2. This will be episode 4. So looking forward to that. That will drop tonight, so I'll watch it probably tomorrow and then do a rewatch on Thursday night. So if you would like to join me on a rewatch on The Bad Batch, season 2, episode 4, join me again live on the YouTube channel. Subscribe, and we will watch that together at 10 o'clock. Obviously, I can't show it. It's just me and we can sync up. We can watch it together. Hopefully, it won't be as bad as last week. Last week, I had a lot of lagging with Disney Plus, but I got rid of my subscriptions. I have no subscriptions on or no advertisements on Disney Plus now. I went couldn't get couldn't take that. I lasted one day with advertisements, and basically I signed up for the no ads version of Disney Plus. And yeah, so at least I won't have to worry about that anymore. I think that was actually giving some problems with the lagging, honestly. So yeah, so Thursday night, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, rewatch party of Bad Batch season 2, episode 4. It's late, you guys. And yeah, we can watch that together. We can sync up, watch it together. I'll kind of do a cool commentary while I'm going through things that I noticed while I'm watching it that I thought were pretty cool, and then we can talk about it a little afterwards if anybody joins in. So I will, if I see you Thursday night, that's great. If not, I'll see you for another rewatch party in the coming weeks. And if not, I guess I'll probably see you next month for another episode of Space Oats podcast. So I'm gonna hold off on doing another one until February, first week of February, which will be in a couple weeks. So have a great night, everyone. Have a great week. Enjoy the rest of the month if I don't see you. And yeah, so safe travels, and may the stars light your way.